Welcome to the College Investor Audio Show, where we talk about the biggest issues impacting millennial money, from student loan debt to side hustles to building wealth. We will show you how to get out of debt so that you can build real wealth for the future.
Hey there, welcome to the College Investor Audio Show. Today we're updating a previous show we did about the average net worth of millennials by age. Let's get to it, and let's not sugarcoat it. We're all a bit voyeuristic when it comes to other people's money. How much do you think they make? How much do you think they have? How did they afford that car? Can you believe that so-and-so is buying a house? Okay, maybe we're not that snooty, but still. Let's focus on one metric, net worth. And let's talk about millennials, which is likely you, and is me too. Why millennials? Well, the media seems to portray millennials as broke, unable to pay their student loans, and never able to buy a house. Those millennials. Grr. Millennials are also supposedly delaying marriage and all sorts of stuff because they're poor and burdened by debt. I don't think that's the case. With anything financially related, there is never an easy answer, but I think there are just as many millennials crushing it financially. I know firsthand that some millennials are already millionaires. And the most recent Federal Reserve data shows older millennial net worth is growing at a massive rate, thank you very much. Maybe the trouble is how we define millennials. Maybe there's a bigger picture here we need to consider. Maybe we just need to ignore the mainstream media when it comes to wealth. And a lot of other things, by the way. But let's break it down and then look at the average net worth for millennials. To keep it easy, the average net worth is $18,000. It's important to remember that number is skewed given the age ranges, but it's also a growth over the $10,400 we saw just 2 years ago. Hence the need to update this podcast. So you can see our charts of this data at thecollegeinvestor.com. And here's a note, I actually wrote this back in 2016, so there was really no data available to figure out millennial net worth. And over the last few years, several surveys have polled millennials, with the most recent being Deloitte. In their survey, they found millennials have an average net worth of $8,000, just shy of our estimate of $10,000. But regardless of $8,000, $10,000, $18,000, I strongly urge you to think about the high achiever net worth. Trust me, I know plenty of millennials who are way above average, and it is possible. Let's talk about it. First, we need to establish who are millennials. Millennials are technically anyone born between 1982 and 2002, always subject to change, with more people calling those born after 2000 exennials. Basically, these people are roughly 19 to 39 today. That's roughly 81 million Americans. We more fully break down the millennial age range at thecollegeinvestor.com. But what makes this unique as a generation? Millennials likely were little kids in a time before computers and cell phones were everywhere. They likely remember getting their first computer and cell phone, I do, and it was a big deal. They likely encountered technology for the first time at school, playing Oregon Trail on a green computer screen, remember that? Has anyone really ever made it to Oregon? They need cheat codes for that game, it's impossible. Anyway, when it comes to money, millennials do have some of the highest student loan debt rates of any generation in history. The average millennial has $30,000 in student loans. Depending on when the millennial graduated college, they could have entered a terrible or awesome job market. Remember, some millennials graduated from college before the financial crisis of 2007, some during it, like me, and some after it. When you graduated from college played a huge role in your earnings right out of school. Millennials are also all dealing with life events at different times as well. From buying a house to getting married, some did it before the recession and some after. As a result, even some older millennials can still be behind. Plus, older millennials who may have started the recovery just got hit with a pandemic, which has resulted in the largest number of unemployed Americans since the Great Depression. So, it's really a mixed bag when it comes to millennials. I mean, come on. They're hard to define financially. But one thing's for sure. They're not dumb when it comes to their money. They are combining technology and money like never before, mobile banking, financial apps, etc., and they want their money to work for them. However, the traditional banking and finance sector hasn't caught up, and millennials really don't like engaging with traditional brick-and-mortar finance. As such, there is a divide here. When looking at net worth for millennials, these are all factors to consider. Factors to consider about millennial net worth. When I think of the main factors that fall into millennial net worth, here's what we need to consider. First, we need to consider when millennials graduated. If millennials are roughly 19 to 39 today, some haven't even graduated college yet. However, if you're 39 today, you likely graduated from college 18 years ago, or 2003. That was before the last financial crisis. Second, we need to look at the average salaries of graduates by year. NACE, N-A-C-E, has a great survey that they conduct to look at the average salary of college graduates each year. The class of date is the year most of your age group graduated a 4-year college. For example, if you're 35 in 2021, you likely graduated college in 2008 and high school in 2003. This could be slightly off depending if you're older or younger for your age, or you graduated high school or college early. But here's what that looks like. We have a chart at thecollegeinvestor.com that breaks down all of the classes from the class of 2003 to 2019. Let's touch on a couple of numbers, though, first. If you're 38 years old, the class of 2004, your starting salary was $43,124. In 23, if you're 23, I should say, class of 2019, the average salary was $50,004. Here's the third thing we need to discuss, student loans. They're a huge factor in net worth for millennials, so we want to consider the average amount of student loan debt millennials had when they graduated. And as you may have guessed, we have a chart for that at thecollegeinvestor.com. Let's take a look at a few numbers, though, and you'll notice this grows as we go. If you're 39, the class of 03, $18,271 was the average student loan debt. If you go all the way down to age 22, class of 2020, $30,120. It just keeps going up. Finally, we do have to make some assumptions about saving. Now remember, net worth is all about assets minus debt. But income plays a huge role, and how much income is saved and how much debt is paid off really makes a difference. For the average millennial, I'm going to look at average savings rates for the calculation. For the above average millennial, we're going to factor in IRA and 401k savings, as well as home equity. So let's go through a few of these. If you graduated in 2003, average annual savings rate 4.8%. If you graduated in 2014, 4.8%. 2018, 7.6%, and 2020, average annual savings rate 13.7%. Awesome. The net worth of millennials by age. So as we compare the net worth of millennials by age, I want to look at average and stretch goals. I think it's important to always consider the average, but I also want to leave you with a stretch goal to get yourself in the top 1%. You can do it. Remember, net worth is assets minus liabilities. As we discussed earlier, the main assets we're focusing on is savings based on income. The main liability is student loan debt. Also, you have to remember that we've seen exceptional growth over the last few years due to a growing economy and bull market. These have helped compound growth at faster levels than can likely be expected in the future. Finally, I want to re-emphasize that these are just my estimates. The Federal Reserve data lumps everyone under 35 into one bucket. So while we do have some starting points, things can always skew one way or another. With that in mind, here is the Federal Reserve data for under 35 and 35 to 44. Under 35, median net worth $13,900. Average net worth $76,300. 35 to 44, median net worth $91,300. Average net worth $436,200. However, I think it's a great starting point for discussion, so let's dive and jump right into it. Remember, we're polling and estimating based on some very sparse data points, as well as negative net worth for younger cohorts. This is an estimate, but based on years of experience, we think it's a fairly accurate estimate. Let's take a look at some numbers. If you're 39, class of 03, average net worth $69,761. If you're 33, class of 09, $9,233. And if you're 23, class of 2019, negative $33,984. So we really tried to make these estimates line up with the real data as best as possible, and you can see the complete chart with your age group at thecollegeinvestor.com. But the most real data points exclude negative net worth for millennials buried in student loan debt. It's important to note, if you're comparing this to past charts, the Federal Reserve data has shown significant growth in older cohorts, 42%. Our data aligns with this, as these individuals have likely been working and seeing significant investment gains over the last few years. So for reference, the median of millennial net worth is $18,000. The true geometric average of millennial net worth is actually $105,500, but that number is heavily skewed by outliers like Mark Zuckerberg. So what that means is, if you want to be better than average, the 50% mark is $18,000 overall. Some quick notes here. This actually assumes that students don't work or work marginally during school, maintain an average amount of student loan debt, and get average employment after graduation. It's why you see the net worth jump a lot right after graduation. Income. Also, the older millennials have benefited from a bull economy, seeing their small nest egg grow more over the last few years. Now let's take a look at high achiever millennial net worth by age. Nice. So you've seen what the average is. What does it take to be above average? Well, anything better than the numbers we've mentioned is, above average. But I want to give you a stretch goal. I call this the high achiever millennial net worth by age. How do you get there? Here are some few key areas. Eliminate student loan debt. And when I say eliminate it, I mean hate it and eliminate it. Get passionate about it. Boost your income by 25%. You can read an article titled How to Boost Your Income at thecollegeinvestor.com. Save at least 25% of your income. Can be through both personal savings or through employer matches. Don't think 25% is possible? There's an example of saving 75% of your monthly income at thecollegeinvestor.com. It is possible, people. Let's get creative. All right, so anyway, let's take a look at some high achiever numbers here. Starting with age 37, class of 05, high achiever net worth, $505,341. If you're 32, class of 2010, high achiever net worth, $297,593. If you're 26, class of 2016, high achiever, $142,767. And if you're 22, class of 2020, your high achiever net worth, this is possible, $28,915. What are some of your thoughts on this? Do you think a 22-year-old can have $28,915 saved up and graduate college debt-free? I do think it's definitely possible, especially the high achievers that started working at 16 or earlier and saved a bunch. I think that these, high achiever net worth amounts are very doable. They're a bit of a stretch, but not unheard of by any stretch of the imagination, and these amounts will clearly make you above average. Quick notes. So there's a huge jump around the 30-year-old range, and that's all due to the Great Recession. The compounding just didn't kick in, and there wasn't a big nest egg to start going into it. Now let's take a look at some millennial net worth FAQs. We get some of these common questions when it comes to millennial net worth. What is the average net worth of millennials? Well, we did answer that, but the average net worth is around $18,000. It does vary quite a bit across the millennial age range. And what is the millennial age range? Anyone between, or born between 1982 and 2002, making them roughly 19 to 39 today. And what is the average millennial starting salary? Millennial starting salaries vary a ton by graduation year. Starting salaries have ranged from $40,000 to $52,000. What is the average millennial student loan debt? We did answer that a little bit too. They've graduated anywhere between $18,000 and $31,000 in student loan debt on average, and that's depending on the year that they graduated. Are millennials doing well? There is a big divergence in millennial success. Many millennials are doing extremely well, but others are struggling. There are plenty of millionaire millennials, even billionaire millennials, but there are also many millennials in poverty too. How do you boost your net worth? Now that you know the average and even the above average net worth, how do you get there? It's time to start looking at ways to boost your net worth. Now, as we mentioned, it's essential to track your net worth. I am a fan of Personal Capital. It's free, it's got great tools, and it's all online. Personal Capital, we do have a link at thecollegeinvestor.com you can click on and read more about it. The great thing is that you're still young. You have tons of time on your side. Time is the biggest ally you have to building wealth. But if you want to grow it, and fast, there are two more key areas to focus on. Boosting your income. As we mentioned, income is one of the key drivers in building assets and eliminating debt. The more income you have, the easier it is to grow your net worth. I want to challenge you to earn at least an extra $100 per month. There's a great list of ideas to get started at thecollegeinvestor.com. I'm a firm believer that everyone can earn more if they try. Eliminating your debt. One of the biggest struggles millennials have is overcoming a negative net worth and making it positive. Eliminating that student loan debt is key. Leverage your additional income, but also look at student loan repayment strategies to help lower that debt. Conclusion? So the fact is, not everyone is average or above average when it comes to net worth, but knowing where you stand is incredibly important. It can validate your current financial plan, or it could provide motivation for you to make financial changes in your life. Don't be discouraged if you're not hitting the bar yet. Follow the strategies we discussed and start working towards building real wealth. Thank you so much for being a part of this today, for listening in. If you want to know more about this, we have tons of articles, data, the charts, everything you can see, and tons of ideas for you to help you in this journey at thecollegeinvestor.com.